We'll be talking about black people no more.
Well, tonight on Alaska's news source, video of a man being slammed by Juneau police circling social media, the complicated arrest that allegedly started with a woman shouting racial slurs.
And a man accused of leading the scene of a hit and run that killed a man with Juneau's tribal ties facing his arraignment today. Details from inside the courtroom.
Take a look at this. An airplane landed in Anchorage not long ago, but not at the airport. We'll tell you where coming up.
A soggy start to the weekend for parts of the state, but drier conditions will break through. I'll have a look at that weekend forecast coming up.
You're watching Alaska's news source.
Tonight, this video raising questions just hours after Juneau police released a statement saying a man sustained a head injury while they say he was resisting arrest.
Tonight, a Juneau police officer is on administrative leave. That follows what department leaders describe as a 49-year-old man resisting arrest and being, quote, taken to the ground.
Justin Matson tells us tonight that video is circling online and has caused many in Juneau to ask questions. Justin, what do we know?
Yeah, we have tried repeatedly since last night to ask Juneau police about the video in question. They have not returned our request for comment, but it appears to show the same events police describe in multiple news releases. A warning, some of what you will see may be disturbing. You'll see a woman being arrested before the incident with the man.
What am I? It's all the evidence right here. All right here. Put your hand behind your back right now. Right now. Y'all ain't gonna be talking about black people no more. Woo!
Again, Juneau police have not answered questions about the authenticity of this video tonight. We do not have an update on the man's condition. All police have said is he sustained a head injury and had to be medevacked to Anchorage. Police say the incident started outside the Douglas Library. They say they arrested a woman identified as Marissa Didrikson. Police say she threw water onto a man while making racist comments. Then, as she was being arrested, officers say she told her friend, who police say was eventually taken down, to, quote, take care of the man. Police say she directed racist comments at. As he was placed in custody, police say he resisted arrest, and that's why he was taken down. Alaska's Tlingit and Haida Indian tribes saying in part of a statement, they are saying, quote, we are deeply concerned about a recent incident involving the Juneau Police Department and one of our tribal citizens. Based on what has been shared by witnesses and community members, the level of force used during the arrest raises serious questions and demands a full, transparent investigation. That statement does not mention what tribal citizens they are talking about, but they say they've asked to meet with Juneau Mayor Beth Weldon and Police Chief Derek Bosk. Again, police have not returned our repeated request for comment. We will keep you updated. Justin Matson, Alaska's news source.
Justin, thank you. An Anchorage man was arraigned in court today as he faces charges for the death of a former Deadliest Catch cast member.
It's going to be our first time seeing JB Matha in person. And we just hope that everything goes smoothly.
Well, loved ones of 33-year-old Francis Katongan were in court today, nearly 6 months after he was killed in February during a hit and run. Anchorage resident 31-year-old JB Matha is facing 10 charges, including both murder and driving under the influence, in connection to Katongan's death.
Your Honor, we're going to waive reading and advisement, and we're going to enter not guilty pleas.
His defense attorney, Lars Danner, speaking on Matha's behalf today. Danner also telling Alaska's news source that he plans to enter a motion to dismiss the indictment in the next few weeks. Katongan's sister told us about her brother.
He had a very forgiving heart. He had big love for everyone that he's met. I think we're still filled with sadness and grief, and we're still processing his death. Sometimes, a few of us have accepted that he died, and we're all grieving in different ways. Sometimes it just feels like he's away on a fishing trip.
The family is telling us tonight that they hope they can eventually reach a point of forgiveness toward the person they think killed Katongan.
Well, Senator Dan Sullivan is weighing in following an order from President Donald Trump to reposition 2 U.S. nuclear submarines. Trump posting that message right there, Truth Social. that highly provocative statements were made by a former Russian president warranting the repositioning of the subs to appropriate regions.
Senator Sullivan says waters near the coast of Alaska would be of strategic importance when it comes to Russia, saying Alaska is on the front lines. He also praised the president for his handling of this situation.
This is serious business, and I think what President Trump did was prudent and shows strength. Look, as President Trump said in his tweet, his statement, Medvedev's statement was highly provocative. I mean, he's literally talking about going to war with the United States. Russia, ever since they invaded Ukraine, Putin in particular has been saber rattling all the time. And I think what President Trump did is saying, hey, I'm going to show strength. And that's what Russia understands, way more than rhetoric.
Again, this is, of course, John's interview with Senator Sullivan earlier, but the AP reporting Friday's move by the president potentially escalates tensions between Washington and Moscow at a delicate time. Trump also mentioned sending a special envoy to Russia to push for a ceasefire in its war with Ukraine. And now let's get to some weather. A cloudy Friday for the city of Anchorage, but sunshine is warming up other parts of the state.
Yeah, meteorologist Jackie Purcell joining us with the forecast. Jackie.
Yeah, we have made the transition into August, but, July wanted to have one last show. So check out the beautiful sunset in the Anchorage area. You can see Mount Susitna there and some of that glow. It was a nice transition to the month of August. So thank you to Winnie Alexander for taking that photo and sharing it with us. But here's a look at Anchorage into Fairbanks. Then there's Palmer as well as Ketchikan. A lot of dryness out there as we start off our Friday night. And right now in Anchorage, we've seen a highest temperature of 67 degrees. So we just exceeded that normal by a degree. And as far as the forecast, we're going to continue to watch this area, a flood watch in effect for portions of the Matanuska River near Butte, as well as creeks and rivers between Sutton into Eureka. So just be aware of that. Rain is also going to be part of our weekend, at least the start of the weekend. In Fairbanks, they're looking at sunshine and a current temperature of 78 degrees. That's their high temperature so far through the day. However, on this date, back in 1976, they made it to 90 degrees. We're going to be looking at accumulating rainfall. Some areas will see over an inch by the time we get into Saturday night. Not much more on Sunday, but this is why we see that flood watch. Going into tomorrow, rain in the Anchorage area with a high temperature, a cool 62, but it's sun in Fairbanks and Bethel. They'll see high temperatures in the 70s. And check out this plane that was landing in the Anchorage streets. A viewer sent us this photo, and it happened just before 4 p.m. You can see right there where it's highlighted, a plane right across 5th Avenue. That was out of Merrill Field again, and that plane is still on location. The good thing is no one was hurt. So you can see that as well. We do have that, a live view of that. We did, when reached by phone, Alaska Air Transit confirmed that they were dealing with a situation but didn't have any further comment. So we are working to keep you posted as we look into what happened, as I mentioned.
Wow, incredible. I'm glad everybody's okay.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jackie. That's right.
Slick landing.
Okay. All right, tonight we're just hours away from the special legislative session in Juneau. Lawmakers are set to take up veto overrides, including over education funding.
Joining us now, we've got our James Brooks with the Alaska Beacon. Hey to you there, James. He attended a news conference ahead of the session. Tell us a little bit about what's kicking off the session this Friday evening.
That's right. In a little over 16 hours, state lawmakers will meet just behind me here in the state capitol to consider overriding some of Governor Mike Dunleavy's vetoes of public school funding. Today at noon, we heard from school superintendents speaking on the front steps of the Capitol, asking lawmakers to meet and then override the governor. That's a big ask. It takes 45 of 60 lawmakers to override the governor on budget decisions. And so it remains to be seen how that vote will pan out tomorrow.
But of course, go ahead, John.
No, I was just going to say that also today we saw some protests in Fairbanks. Curious what the message from the news conference ahead of the session.
Yes, what we heard from superintendents is not only override the governor on his veto of the annual operating budget, but also increase funding for capital projects, things like school repairs, particularly in rural Alaska, where there's almost $800 million in deferred maintenance and needed repairs. Lawmakers were able to fund only about 5% of that. The governor cut that amount further. And so the message we heard today, both in Juneau and Fairbanks, was more money for schools.
And we're hearing from the governor today, of course, about the session. What's he saying?
Yeah, what we heard from the governor today was he wants action on policy before lawmakers take up action on funding. His view is that if they consider funding first, they'll never get to the policy changes he wants. Now, lawmakers have already considered the governor's policy suggestions. Those were taken up during the regular legislative session, and lawmakers didn't go for it. They offered a compromise proposal instead. The governor vetoed that compromise, and lawmakers overrode the governor on that compromise. And so then afterward, he made a second veto, this time to the budget, and that's what we'll see tomorrow, how that shakes out.
All right, much more to come. James Brooks with the Alaska Beacon, thank you so much for joining us. We should mention our political reporter, Will Courtney, has made the trek to Juneau, and he'll start the coverage tomorrow.
This is take care of him for us, James.
Yes, James.
You're taking care of our Will for us. We'll be following both of their coverage over the weekend. And still ahead, it's National Emergency Management Awareness Month. Meteorologist Bailey Braun speaks with Anchorage emergency managers.
They're going to talk to us about how to stay safe in dangerous situations and what is crucial for maintaining safety and security. Be right back. Today starts National Emergency Management Awareness Month.
Really important topic. Our Bailey Braun went on base today to learn about the State Emergency Operations Center and what they do there.
I'm Bailey Braun, and we're here at the State Emergency Operations Center. And joining us here today is Jeremy Zedek. So, Jeremy, what exactly is your role here?
I'm the Public Information Officer for the State of Alaska's Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Management.
And this month is Emergency Management Awareness Month. What exactly does that mean for us here in Alaska?
Well, we want to raise awareness about the field of emergency management and what emergency managers do here in the state. There's so many different aspects that we need to call upon when we're responding to disasters in a state as large as Alaska. And we really bring in different disciplines to address the different issues that we see during the very chaotic times after a disaster event.
And how far in advance do you start to plan for these kind of disasters?
Well, we're really continuously planning for disaster events. As soon as one ends, we do an after action and we try to find ways to get better and respond to those disasters in a more effective manner. So it's ongoing. And it happens at many levels. Our local emergency managers are doing drills and conducting tests of their systems. Then at the state level, we're looking at ways that we can support them at that local level and reaching up to our federal partners to see how we can support at that local level in the most efficient way.
And what do you think is the most important thing for Alaskans to know for Emergency Management Awareness Month?
Well, first, that we're going to have more disasters here in the state. Every individual and family can take steps to prepare for disasters, and very similar to the same steps that we take at a state and at a local level. Things like having emergency plans, having backup communication. And those really pay dividends when the disaster happens. So that's what they can do personally. They can also reach out to their local fire department, law enforcement, or emergency manager, find out about the risks and hazards in their community, how they prepare for them in their community, and find out ways to help. There's an awful lot of non-government agencies like the American Red Cross, Salvation Army, and others, faith-based organizations within communities that help the local officials when disasters occur. So they can come in, participate in those groups after they've taken care of themselves.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Jeremy. I appreciate your time. And that wraps us up here today. I'm Bailey Braun with Alaska's News Source.